crazy.
I'll tell you what this video isn't. It's not gonna be a tutorial, because tutorials are boring.
Yeah.
What this is gonna be is telling you how I thought of making this video, the thought process behind it, the creative process. I'm only talking about the most essential creative ideas. I'm not talking about specific effects or anything like that. What I'm telling you here is fundamental concepts that you can apply to any skill level. And this is supposed to be a fun video for anyone who just wants to know the creative process. Imagine the video like this. This house, you see that here? Imagine it's not there. You're building this house, and the house is the idea. The house is the video. If the foundation isn't good, the whole thing will fall down. That is the most important thing, is like getting the foundation, and then you build the scaffolding, you build the structure of the video, and then the very last thing you do is decorate and do all the little flourishes. The first thing that everyone else sees is the flourishes, and it's the last thing that you actually do. You need to think of what the premise is, and then you need to think of what the packaging is going to be like. Steve Jobs says that you need to think of the end product first. You need to think of the customer's first experience. So the first thing that someone sees when they see an iPhone, they're gonna see like the shape of the phone, they're gonna see the home screen, they're gonna see how it feels in their hand. That's the first things you should think of, because if your title of your YouTube video and your thumbnail isn't good, no one's gonna watch your video. So it doesn't matter how good your video is, if no one clicks on it, no one's gonna see it. I'm telling you, for real. That's probably the most important thing. The Family Guy house in real life. I don't believe that working titles are necessarily a good thing, because in my experience, when I've had working titles, which is something like you call the project like sample project 1 or whatever, I try to make the title like before I've even started the video, so that you know what you're making. It's kind of like a mission statement. It's like a focus point to always come back to. If you ever get lost in the creative process, just come back to it, like, what's this called? That goes with anything. That goes with like an album.
The destruction of modern man.
You might want to base your songs around this idea of destruction, because that's the first thing people will see. They'll see the name of the album and they'll be expecting something destructive, something powerful. This was something I did in like 5 minutes, and it's just simple. There's two elements. There's the price tag, and there's the subject of the video. It's called The Family Guy House in Real Life. So show clearly what they want to see. They're thinking like, is this a real place? Are we gonna go inside there? I want to see what's inside. Look at this, it's $68 million for this house. This was actually quite bad, because this was just like the first draft. I came back to it the next day and then did this. So you can see that the colors are more saturated. The background is like slightly darker so that it makes the house stand out more. And the number is smaller, because I know this is a joke or whatever, but no one's gonna believe that this is 68 million, like not even for a second. But if this is like 6.7 million, that's such a specific number that people are thinking, well, maybe this isn't really a house, but like, well, what is it? You know, what is it? And also, if you do a number that's not rounded, so like 68 million, you assume that they're rounding up or down or whatever. But if you have like supposedly the exact amount, it's just more eye-catching. It raises more questions. This is what the timeline looks like. And I know that this is scary. This looks scary. Whoa, spooky stuff. You know what? It doesn't matter how good you are. It's incomprehensible. It's not like you get to a certain level of skill and you see this timeline and you understand what's going on. Like this is complicated for everyone. Now, I will show you one thing before we look at any intricate details. Folder management. That's right, people. Organization is key. I'm an organized man. This is the first layer of my SSD card. I have like, you know, personal account stuff, Clone Hero, personal music, personal photos, and then like all my little projects and stuff. If I want to do anything related to the small dude, I click in here. I also have like a sound library that I've been building for years. This may not look like much just clicking into things, but this is not something that you can do in a day. See, just little funny sound effects. Little meme there. Little boing sounds. like that? You like that? Here's a bonk. You like that? You think that's funny? Are you laughing? You're probably LMAOing right now. Here's the most funniest one of all. It's not that I just spent loads of time like building this folder or that folder or this folder. Whenever I find a sound effect or whenever I need a sound effect, when I'm in the throes of making a video, if it's funny, I'll add it to the funny folder. If it's miscellaneous, I'll add it to the miscellaneous folder. They sound so fascinating when they're isolated, don't they? All of these folders I have imported into DaVinci Resolve, and this is a template. So whenever I load up a project, all of this stuff is ready. So I just have my sound library, my video library, video backgrounds, this one that I use a lot. You might even recognize some of these because, to be honest, I use the same ones over and over and over. Seriously, you gotta be organized. There's no way around it. You have to be organized. And so for like audio, camera, graphics, and video, I will add to them when I start a project. So like I'll have my libraries here. I'll have different timelines. I have some kind of like pre-rendered kind of scenes here. I never use these. I thought I would. Sometimes I use elements of them. Like say I just need this living room right here. I can just kind of quickly grab that, which I did use for this video, but generally I don't kind of work like that. But also I have like a cutout of the room here. Let's say for example I want to like dim the lights, which is something I do from time to time. I'll make this bottom layer here more opaque or less opaque. Oh sorry, you can't see. I'll show you this and I'll show you no more. This little transform thing here, this has all the tools you need. So let's get to the actual video itself, shall we? First frame is very important. It's the first thing that anyone's gonna see. Let's say the first frame, like, let's see if we can find a bad frame in this video. I highly doubt it. Oh, that's a bad frame. All right, so imagine that was the very first frame of the video. And I don't know, I say something like, "Hey Pete, what's going on?" It doesn't look good.
You hanging out? Yeah.
Like that's a terrible shot. I have the light in my hand. I don't know why, I should know better than that. And the light is coming from downwards, so it's like this. You know, it looks bad. Of course it looks bad. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a lighting guy. I'm not an equipment guy. I hate equipment. I hate it. I hate interfacing with technology. I hate interfacing with software and hardware. So I did this whole take, and it looks really bad. But after we did the take, I looked back on the little, you know, in the viewfinder on the camera, and realized it looked bad. So I did it again. Let's see, this is probably the one that I did. No, actually, maybe I didn't do it again. Oh no, that was still from the bad one. Actually, you know what? I did do it again. I did do the take again, but this still was better. Like the performance was better. And that's another kind of foundational thing. You should try and make every shot as good as it can be before you ever film something, because I often find that the first performance of anything is the best one. Stanley Kubrick has said this, so that's how I know it's true.
People say that I do 100 takes, that I'm a perfectionist, that I need to do 100 takes. When I'm working with a good actor, I only need to do one take.
And what he's saying with that is, usually the first take is the best one, but if the first take isn't good, well, I'm not going to put words in the man's mouth, but you've essentially scuffed your chance, and now you're playing catch-up, trying to hope for a miracle. There's no second chances. Everything you film is only going to happen once. It's only going to have that energy once. So capture that energy. That's your job. That's your fucking job. So why don't you do it, huh? Why don't you do your job? First frame of the video. It doesn't even have to be mind-blowing. It doesn't have to be you on top of a mountain going,
"I just paid $10,000 for this mountain!"
But it just has to have a little bit of dynamics. Like, look at this. It's just like the image is slightly blurred and it's rotated. And it just rotates and unblurs into air. So simple. And that's an original. That's a John Griffin original. I'm quite sure someone else has thought of that, but no one told me to do that. I didn't read a book and it said, always start your first video rotating and unblur the image. It was just experimentation. I've done loads of different like first frames, and I've probably done this trick like multiple times. I'm sure I have. It's my favorite one. And you just build your little tool belt. I assume in the next video I'll do something slightly different, but it's not complicated. You just zoom out and unblur. And then it's just a static image that zooms in very slowly.
It seems today that we're visiting.
These are static images that I got from fucking Google. I typed in Family Guy house and I just ripped every image that I found. Look, here's a bit of a more complicated one. I'll show you how I did this.
The most expensive cartoon property.
Now, it's funny because it looks complicated, and I would never have been able to make this like 4 months ago because I wouldn't have had the brain that knew how to do it. It's not complicated, but when you know how to do it, it's so simple. Foundation image is the sky, okay? We have the transparent building. We have pieces of text here down the bottom, and that's it. Okay, so let's take away the small dude. This is the image I have.
The most expensive cartoon property.
It's just a still image. That's it. But when you add me,
The most expensive cartoon.
it comes to life. So what I have here is I actually used this from the Joe Biden video and I reused it again, which is why I didn't know that I would reuse this again. This was the first time I had ever thought to use a PNG image of myself, and that fucking blew my own mind. I was like, damn. That was kind of what gave me the idea to like put me inside a cartoon instead of putting the cartoon inside the real world. I've literally zero knowledge of how actual animation works. All I know is that this is just one single frame, one still image played for 1 second, and then that still image played for 2 seconds Sorry, not seconds, but 2 frames. That's it. It's an image followed by another image, followed by another image, repeated to make it look like he's walking. The hard part isn't actually doing that. Anyone can do that. Like if you watch this video, watch this little segment, and you've no prior experience with video, you'll figure out how to do this pretty quick, I'm sure. So then there's like, I took this on a different day. There's just me standing like that. And also, like, I didn't know what I was going to use these images for. I knew that I was going to make a video where I needed to be animated. So I just took 4 photos of me in different stances. I'm shaking the entire... Whoa! I didn't know what I would use this little punching thing for when I was taking these... This isn't even a photo, by the way. I took a video of myself standing over there. And I just like stood in certain positions, took a screenshot of me standing still, and then made it transparent. Didn't know what I'd use this for, but then like I just had the idea to have me punching the door. Ideas only come about through necessity. Not only, but a lot of the time I will give myself like a limited amount of tools. So the challenge is, for this video, I only have 4 stances. So I just have to make do with what I have. If I had a cutout for every individual motion, I'm standing, slightly raised hand, slightly extended, fully extended, and then back, I would be burdened with choice and I would never get the video done.
This is real nice, real big. You know what I'm saying?
And this is the most painful and awful part.
One Family Guy fan.
This one was a real turning point because a lot of the videos, when I base them around like, you know, real life footage like this, I tend to get like hyper fixated on using the footage instead of just taking pieces that I need. So in a lot of other videos, I will have used just a full screen of the camera and then I will add graphics on top of it. But in this video, I relied less on the footage, which actually made it better because the raw footage isn't very good. You know, like when you see the edited video, it looks good because it's cut down. I mean, like I filmed like 15 minutes and I just probably used like 1 minute's worth of the very best stuff that I have, and I completely chopped it up.
I got a real dirty, smoky house. Everything inside it is gray. Everything inside my house makes weird noises. Plop and splash and smish and smash, you know?
Usually, I'll go off a script, like all the lines are scripted. I don't really improvise that much. Because I'm not that funny. I'm not a good improviser. I'm not like a comedian. I'm an editor and a doer. I make videos, but being like a funny guy is not my strong suit. But I know that if I just film me messing around for like 15 minutes, there will probably be a minute's worth of content that I can get from it. So I went on a whole tangent about Soundgarden here, and none of it was used. But this little bit of me, like messing with the CD rack, that turned into a part of the video. You can see that it's only like 5 seconds of footage, but I just honed in on that. It's nothing. It wasn't even like that wasn't really even like supposed to be a bit.
Yeah, you got it. These CDs sound so good. Is that what you do? You're like...
I don't see this as me trying to make a funny video. I see this as me just trying to like get from the start to the end and just trying to make the video flow, trying to make it satisfying to watch. It'll end up being funny just because the premise is funny. The idea of a Family Guy house tour. If you can make it flow, in my experience, it always just ends up having little funny bits here and there. Like, absolutely none of it was made with like, oh, I have such a funny joke where I'm gonna mess with CDs. It's just a means to an end. All of this took 3 days. I filmed it on one day, and then I didn't edit it for like a week. And then I spent about 3 days in a row just doing like 8 or 9 hours. On the last day I probably did like 11 hours. So this is a really carefully constructed thing that took, I don't know, 30 hours. And if I hadn't planned things out, and if I didn't have pre-made assets like Peter and Peter talking, if I had to make everything from scratch, this would have taken like a month. The backgrounds I already had, the Paw Tucket Patriot Ale I already had, the Peter assets I already had. I had to make. If I do any of this stuff wrong, I don't know why there's a little cross on screen here. Maybe I've ascended to holy status. Maybe this advice is so good I've been canonized. If I had spent like any extra time doing any part of this, it would have taken too long. Because I just about got it done. I had a deadline for Sunday, Sunday 14th of May. That was my deadline that I had imposed on myself. No one told me to do that. And I had to get it done by Sunday because I try and get a video out like at least once a month. And my deadline, the very last moment was approaching. And also I had the Tony Zarrett interview and I did 2 other live streams. So I'm balancing all this stuff. So if I'd spent any more time doing anything, either the video would be like incomplete and I'd have to put it out with some mistake or like missing parts that I didn't get to finish. So time management, because I managed my time correctly, it was done. You need to understand your limitations. I say this to people and they nod their head and they say, yeah, but they don't do it. If you want to do something, but you don't know how to do it, you really need to consider how long it's going to take you to figure out how to do that. I was talking to a guy recently who's telling me he has next to no experience with video editing and stuff, but he edited a video and he spent like 2 hours saturating the hat of a guy. Some guy was wearing like a blue hat in the video, and he spent like 2 hours figuring out how to saturate the hat. I think he was just doing it for fun, so like it's not like he wants to be a video editor for a profession. But if you do want that, here's what I would say. Don't waste your time doing shit like that. That's like pro level editing that you should only waste time doing if you know that you can do it in like 5 minutes. Now there needs to be a point where you get to the pro level in order to be able to do that quickly. But that's why you make like hundreds of videos. Imagine it like a video game. Each video you're just leveling up XP bars. What kind of skills do you have? You have like filming. you start at level 0 with every skill. You're filming. Every video you film, you get like 10 XP. And it's like a limitless XP bar, you know? So you get like 10. So you're like 10 XP better than you were before you started the video. Then the next video you film, you're like 10 XP better. And then sometimes you'll have videos where like you just fucking boss it. You just do a good job and you get like 50 XP. You level up big time. If you're just filming, or if you're just coloring, or if you're just editing, or if you're just doing the sound, you can level up really fast. But for something like what I'm doing here, there are so many skills that are being used at once. And I think a lot of people who I talk to are more in the bracket of doing several skills at once. So for this, I'm not just filming, but I'm filming, doing animation, editing, coloring, sound design, and not just sound, but like, you know, voice, music, sound effects, graphics, guerrilla style editing, putting my face over a cartoon background. This is only possible with hundreds of hours of practice. And I still don't even consider myself like good because, well, actually no, I am good. You know, I don't consider myself a pro at anything because I have all these fucking XP bars. You can imagine just like the layout. It's like filming, editing, coloring, etc, 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 etc. All of these are so slowly building. Each video, all of them, I'm getting like 1 XP on every bar. So I have to make like 1,000 videos so that all of these get to an intermediate level. If I was only doing one thing, if I was only doing sound design, my sound skills would be fucking through the roof. I'd be like level 100 mafia boss. But if you are doing several things, don't expect to be like pro level at all the things. You have to understand your limitations. You have to understand that if you're doing like several things that one person can spend their entire life mastering, one person can spend their entire life just framing shit. You're never gonna be as good as that person because he's spending 1,000 hours practicing that one thing and you're spending 1,000 hours practicing 5 things. So you will never be as good as him. And that's okay because you will be like a jack of all trades. You'll have several skills that come together. Being like mid-level at loads of things can actually accelerate you way higher than the person who's just like expert at one thing. But you will never beat that expert in his field. When you see this timeline, don't just look at the entire thing and be like, I need to make that. What you should really think about is just try and focus on one track at a time. On your first video or whatever, just try and use one track. Don't go outside your lane. Don't go deeper in the pool. And with the audio down here, just settle for one audio track, maybe 2, because you know most videos needs a bit of music or whatever. And then get good at that. Do that like 2, 3, 4 times, and then just move up to the next level, then the next level and the next level, and eventually you'll get to this fucking absolute chaotic mess, and you'll have deserved it, you know. Because if you don't know anything about like video editing and you want to just get here straight away, you're setting yourself up for failure because you'll never do that. Of course you won't. That wouldn't be fair to me if you start your first video tomorrow and you can do this better than I can. I would sue you. I would sue the hell out of you. There's so much I could talk about here, which is why I'm doing an entire series about this on patreon.com. The videos are way longer, more in-depth, and uploaded so regularly. So go watch them now!